Whenever the laws of any state are broken, a duly authorized organization swings into action.
Police Blotter Facts Friday. All week long, we ask you to send in your funny stories about the local constabulary to grace@howiecarrshow.com, grace@howiecarrshow.com. It can be from the local daily or weekly newspaper. It can be from the internet. Many weeklies still have columns that are written by the police department. They call the police log, the police blotter. Wherever you get your information, we just want to get the funny stories involving the cops. And you send them to grace@howiecarrshow.com, or you can still fax them to us. We still have a fax number, 857-284-8864. And at this time, every Friday evening, we read what we consider the funniest entries of the week. And the two best entries of the week, in our opinion, get a nice prize. What do they get this week, Grace?
They will be getting a copy of Plug Uglies once again, because a lot of mugshots. I didn't print them out because I'm trying to save ink, but the mugshots this week would really blow your mind.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, I do have a real fax this week, which I thought was sweet.
Oh, a fax.
Yeah,
good.
I knew
Very
you'd
good.
like that.
Very good.
All right, guys, let's start off with politician caught using fake backdrop to hide that he was driving during virtual meeting. So you can do this now with the Zooms. You can kind of make any background you want. And so he had this background of like a kitchen behind him, but he had his seatbelt on. So everyone could see him kind of leaning over to turn his blinker on and checking both ways.
Well, maybe, he could have said that he was responding to the Babylon Bee story last week, where they told you had to wear your seatbelt even after you got out of the car, because just like you have to wear your mask outside.
Yeah, it says Andrew Brenner, a Republican, attended the virtual meeting on Zoom the same day that his colleagues introduced a bill to punish distracted drivers. The senator had put an image of a home office as his background in an effort to conceal his actual whereabouts, a car. This is what he said. The politician said, "I wasn't distracted. I was paying attention to the driving and listening to the meeting. I had two meetings."
That's what they all say.
Did he do this as a show of like solidarity against the bill?
That's what I kind of thought, Taylor, but I'm not
like
sure.
As a point to prove that you can do two things at one time because you're an adult?
I don't know, because if you watch the video, it is pretty funny. Like, he has this whole background and he's just driving with his seatbelt. It's worth looking into. Okay.
The problem with going to those legislative meetings and driving is, when I've been to those legislative meetings, my eyes get really heavy quickly,
So you can't be driving at the same time.
That's what I'm saying. It's not distracted driving. It could be comatose driving.
Exactly. Guy punches man in the face several times at South Station while demanding his phone back.
South Station in Boston?
Yes.
Okay.
I think you sent me this.
I probably...
I didn't know if you were testing me. I'm like, yeah.
I'm pretending this is on the level.
Man didn't have his phone. It was at Lost and Found the whole time.
Oh, this was a good one. So he starts punching the guy, accusing him, and then when they arrest him, they say, "Let's go see if your phone is at the Lost and Found," and there it is.
You always got to check the Lost and Found. It's very rarely that the Lost and Found finds what you lost.
Right.
But you want to avoid a situation.
This was one of those rare
like
occasions.
Transit police report arresting an allegedly short-tempered Providence man who blamed another man at South Station for stealing his phone and then began punching him in the face, even though the victim had nothing to do with the fool's phone, which was waiting for him at the Lost and Found.
Another friend of Jazel Correa, most likely.
Man erects poop wall after property dispute with neighbor.
A poop wall?
Yes.
Does this involve Joy Reid's neighbors?
No.
Or Michael Steele?
AOC is not going to like this story. A Michigan man devised a smelly way to resolve a property dispute with his neighbor by erecting a 250-foot-long wall of cow poop between their homes. Normally, they spread it on...
Must have had a lot of cows.
Normally, they spread it on the field, but they decided to make a fence out of it. Victim Wayne... That's a little bit of a stretch. Victim Wayne Lamberth.
He probably filed
If you
a
had a
police
poop
report.
fence along your property line, Grace, I think you'd qualify as a victim.
Victim Wayne Lamberth told Fox of the fecal fortification.
Ooh, I like that. Alliteration.
Which appeared next door following a feud with his neighbor in 2020. Wonder if politics
The fecal
were involved.
fortification feud.
That's when his neighbor decided to build one of his own out of a massive supply of cow dung. Some great words in that. All right, now you guys waited. We're about the fourth story in. Naked woman leads Arkansas police on chase. Gets tackled by officer.
A naked woman in Arkansas. Bill Clinton's thinking of moving back to his old home state.
An officer was able to set up a tire puncturing spike strip. You gotta love that. That's really old school. Near a mile marker. Dash cam footage from a state police vehicle shows the truck's front driver's side tire was blown out and Lewis was forced to pull over. That's the last name of the woman. The video shows her quickly getting out of the driver's side of the truck wearing only a jacket and what appears to be a shirt on her head. She takes the jacket off.
On her head? Okay.
She takes the jacket off as she walks towards officers. An officer with a large gun then appears in front of the police vehicle and tackles her.
A large gun.
Yes.
Deirdre Lewis was her name, and not a pretty sight.
Burial by sea. 300-pound gator hit and dragged for nearly a mile, then dumped into the San Jacinto River.
San Jacinto.
San Jacinto. Sorry. Yeah, this is
in Texas?
A driver is likely going to have to file a unique insurance claim after his vehicle was damaged when he hit and dragged a 10-foot gator in Montgomery County. Anthony Jackson was driving the posted speed heading eastbound around...
If I hit a 10-foot gator, I think I'd come to a stop. I might not get out of the car until I was sure the gator was dead, but I think I would stop.
That's what I was thinking, too. It is weird that he went for nearly a mile. There's something that doesn't add up. But here's what's interesting. It happened around 3 a.m. on Thursday. Not throwing around accusations.
Now I know why he didn't stop.
As he was crossing...
What time is last call in Montgomery County?
But it doesn't sound like he did anything wrong because you'd think that would be included in it. You know what I mean? If they figured out he was driving, under the influence or anything. I think he just happened to hit a gator. He hit a 300-pound gator that was in the road and dragged it under his vehicle for nearly a mile. Jackson was not injured, but the gator did not survive the crash. It was loaded onto a wrecker while officials waited for a decision from the game warden about what to do with the body. Ultimately, the game warden decided on a burial by sea, and the gator's body was dumped into the river.
I think that was a good move. That's the best. That's the best solution. The gator can be recycled now.
I was talking about burials at sea with someone the other day. When they do those now, it has to be your ashes, right? They can't just dump whole bodies into the ocean.
No.
That's what I figured.
No. That's what Whitey told John Materano when they killed Callahan. They dumped the guy John Callahan. They dumped his body in the trunk of his car and then put it in the long-term lot at the Miami International Airport. And Whitey said, "What are you doing? Don't you have a boat?" Johnny said, what are you talking about? He said, "Chop him up. Feed him to the sharks."
Oh, so much work, though. It's also cruel and awful and terrible, but it's like that. You ever watched a true crime doc?
But you know what they call it? Do the Houdini. Make the body disappear. It's once the body's gone, it's a lot harder to put together a murder case.
Yeah, but it's really hard to get rid of a body. To really get rid of it.
That's why Johnny had a boat.
Yeah, that's true. Man who spray painted 100 penises on road threatened with legal action. Now this man, I know what you're thinking from the headline. Villain. But actually...
What was the gator's name, by the way?
Bertha.
Bertha?
Bertha. Or if you want to go with the German pronunciation, Bertha.
Bertha.
You read the headline and you think, vandal, spray painting 100 penises. How irresponsible. But actually, you read the whole thing. He's a hero. Listen to this. A New Zealand man. Get it out of your system. Go ahead.
Crikey, mate. How many Fosters did he have before he done this?
You're actually going to like this guy. A New Zealand man who began drawing very large private parts around the potholes in his home city in 2018 in the hopes of attracting the attention of his local council has been threatened with police action. A New Zealand activist who specializes in drawing large private parts around the streets.
I don't really think I like this guy very much.
Wait
Grace.
for it, though. Jeff Upson, who calls himself a road safety campaigner, estimates he has made about 100 lewd drawings on streets with potholes in the hopes that the images will motivate officials to pave over them. So they said to him that he had to remove them, and he wrote, "Offended? Good. Maybe the road will get fixed soon," the 30-year-old wrote on his Facebook page. "If they come out and fix the road, then 100% of my drawings will be removed." I don't know. I find that it's a little bit,
Why couldn't he have painted like a maple leaf or a squirrel?
Because how you got to paint what gets people, you got to be a, what's it called? Provocateur.
Was he? I guess he was a graffiti artist, as the late Mayor Mumbles Medino used to say. By the way, did you see there's a crime wave in Atlanta? Speaking of gay stuff, Grindr. Grindr.
Who is speaking of gay stuff?
Well, the guy's painting these things. I'm jumping to conclusions.
You
perhaps.
sure are.
But apparently these guys are seeking dates on Grindr. And so these several people have decided they respond and say, okay, I'll meet you in this wooded area, this abandoned area. And so the guy who wants a date with another guy shows up, and guess what happens?
What?
He gets mugged, and they steal his car and his wallet and his cell phone and everything else. It's happened like 3, 4, 5 times.
Well, I'm actually glad you brought that up, because dating apps you have to be very careful with, or hookup apps, whatever you want to call it. But speaking of that brings me to something else you need to be careful with. This was the actual police blotter facts that we received for this Friday. On May 3rd at approximately 2:05, Buxton Police PM received
Maine.
Yes, received a complaint of a possible robbery and carjacking. The calling party was identified as 30-year-old Devin Goodson. That's the woman. Goodson was reporting having picked up a hitchhiker.
A woman picked up a hitchhiker. Not a good move. Not a good move for anybody to pick up a hitchhiker.
Around the Bar Mills Bridge. The male suspect went into the store. He asked her to stop at the variety store. He went into the store and ran out with 2 bottles of Fireball whiskey. He then stated he was...
Shocking.
He was in the back of the vehicle.
Fireball.
So she says he was in the back of the vehicle. He pulled out a knife and ordered me to drive away. He said he had my license and, he knew where I lived and all this stuff. So the police got her whole story, and they went to the store and they looked at the footage. Guess who was right there with him, actively stealing the booze?
The woman?
Yeah.
Someone needs to do a survey of how many nip bottles are abandoned anywhere. I'm guessing at least 50% of the abandoned nip bottles on the sidewalks and in the gutters are Fireball.
Yeah, that is the most popular. You don't see a lot of vodka or anything.
We need to ban cinnamon-flavored whiskey.
Fireball.
It's like the menthol cigarettes of the alcohol
All we
world.
need is a 7-day waiting period for Fireball nips.
Do you notice, too, that nips, they're never just, they're discarded on the street, but they're always crunched up, stepped on, mangled.
Well, that never happened when they were glass, but now that they've gone to plastic, there's no downside to running them over.
The thought of glass nips, that was before my time. Way before.
I think they still got glass nips.
Really?
Don't they, Taylor?
That feels like a recipe for disaster.
I've never bought a nip in my life.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
I know, yeah. Thou doth protest too much.
I buy the big bottle.
Yeah, right.
I swear.
Taylor.
I haven't ever bought a nip either. Wink, wink.
All right. The frenzied real estate market is causing bidding wars across certain segments. Real estate brokers are holding calls for highest and best offers because demand is so high. How do you as a seller know that you have realized all of the money for your property and whether you sold under the best terms? You wouldn't hire a refrigerator repairman to fix your valuable car. So when selling real estate these days, let the bidding war experts for over 45 years sell your property quickly, contingency-free, and for true market value. Recent real estate auctions for Howie Carr Show listeners have attracted as many as 30 qualified cash-ready buyers battling for their properties. At the end of your auction, you will know that no money was left on the table. Remember, when you sell your real estate in the usual way with a broker, you, the seller, pay the commission. But in a J.J. Manning auction, the buyer pays. That saves you, the seller, thousands of dollars right there. Whether residential, commercial, or land, J.J. Manning can get your property sold now. To learn more on how to get your property sold quickly and contingency-free, contact Charlie Gill at 800-521-0111 or go to jjmanning.com. With over 16,000 sales and satisfied clients, you can be the next one. I'm Howie Carr.
It's his show, and he knows how to use it.
Would you turn that microphone off, please? Me if you would... I am paying for this microphone, Mr.
Howie Carr returns after this.
Bruce from the Met says, I've never bought a nip either, Taylor, but I do know there are a lot still sold in glass, or so I've heard.
Oh.
And Officer Mark wants to know, Grace, did you use the 27 Tito nips I gave you for your birthday?
Oh, many, many moons ago, my friend. Those are long gone. I do thank you, though, Officer Mark.
See, that's the thing. I mean, you can get high-end booze in a nip, and you can get Fireball.
You really can. And when you see a high-end booze in a nip, it's absolutely adorable. Like, it looks like the bottle just shrunken down. It's adorable. Okay, so here are the two winners. And just a reminder, Police Blotter Facts Friday is brought to you by Piantadosi Baking Company, celebrating over 100 years of baking excellence since 1916. Please check out their delicious bread. We love Piantadosi, and we love Joe Piantadosi, too. I hope he's listening. Make sure you check out their rolls, their bread. Everything's delicious. All righty, here we go. Florida man arrested for allegedly impersonating doctor injecting Botox while drinking.
Dr. Fauci?
Jacksonville, Florida. A Florida man is charged with impersonating a doctor. And
was he an anesthesiologist? He was anesthetizing himself before he anesthesiologist, or whatever the word is.
Nelson Turin hosted a Botox and Bubbles event at a local business.
Botox and Bubbles.
He was allegedly drinking 4 Locos while he operated on his unsuspecting victims. I would not let someone dial a telephone for me if they were drinking 4 Locos.
Plus, it's near the eyes.
4 Locos is it's what, like an alcoholic energy drink?
Yeah, I've heard that it gets you
ripped,
real drunk. The news station reported that he charged $350 to inject lips, chins, and cheeks.
On your face, in other words. He's drunk, and he's got a needle that he's injecting into your face. Doctor.
Woman 77 hurled whopper and racial slurs. A 77-year-old retiree.
This is the Villages.
Yes.
The big retirement village.
She was upset.
Where Trump used to go sometimes.
Now, this is the reason. Judith Black, the reason I picked this as a winner is because a lot of times with these fast food things, when they happen at Burger King and stuff, we know that they're upset, but they don't tell us why.
Right.
And there's still a mystery to this story. But she was upset about the thickness of the tomato on her Whopper, so she allegedly...
This is just the first. I've never read this one before. I've never seen anyone angry about the thickness of the tomato. How big was the tomato? Had to be very large.
But we don't know if she was mad that it was too big or too thin, too thick or too thin, and so the mystery continues.
Get to the bottom of this, Grace.
I'm on it, Captain.
I'm Howie Carr.